Hey guys, welcome back to Container Crops, the Scaredy Cat Gardener. Okay, we're going to be talking about the type of pots that are best for container gardening. One of the biggest things and problems you have when you are gardening strictly in containers is watering. They require way more watering than in ground. So you have to account for that. But there is something you can do, and that pertains to the type of pot or container that you decide to grow in. If you are new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take a second and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that notification bell so you won't miss anything. Also, guys, meet me over on Facebook after the video and sign up for my Container Crops group over there. I will put that link down in the description. I want to see your posts, your gardens, your pictures, your pics, your videos over there too. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get into it.
Show off your fantasy reality, whoa, that's yours, but I'll keep doing mine. You'll be living your good life, catch a glimpse from the outside all the time.
Okay guys, we are back. Now, there are many things that you can put your plants in when you're talking about container gardening, but a lot of people have small spaces. So you first need to determine the amount of space you have, which will determine also the type of container that you may be able to use. Now I'm going to go over 4 main containers. That's going to be your terracotta pot, your clay pot. Those are wonderful pots, but I'm going to go over exactly why I'm not a fan of those. You also have ceramic pots, which are nothing but terracotta pots or clay pots that have been glazed over. We've got our all famous grow bags, which everybody seems to like the grow bags, but I'm going to tell you why I'm not necessarily a fan of them. And then the pot that I like the best, a plastic pot or a resin pot. So we're going to go over each one and take a closer look at the pots themselves, and I'll tell you why I like one better than the other. Here we have a terracotta pot, clay pot, also called redware. As you can see, I recently watered, and the water is coming through the actual pot. It's porous. So that means when you water, your water is also going to be soaked up by the pot. Now, a very good pot, very beautiful pots, very long-lasting pots, as long as you don't crack them like this one is right here. Okay, so as long as you don't crack them, they're good to go. They're beautiful. They're long-lasting. But as far as watering your container garden often, you're going to have to water this clay pot more because the pot itself is going to take up quite a bit of the water. So I am not a fan of the clay pots for that reason as far as gardening is concerned. And another reason why I'm not a fan of these pots is because once you put dirt in them, they can be very, very heavy. And so therefore, they can be very hard to move because they're heavy without anything. And that's one of the beauties of gardening in containers, is the ability to move them where you need to. And over here, this is just another form of, it is a ceramic pot, which I am not a fan of either, because just like the clay pot, with the ceramic pots, they seem to be porous a little bit because they're actually glazed clay. So you will also find that these will soak up the water as well. So I'm not a fan of it, but I am a fan of my stevia coming back. I literally cut it all the way down last year and it's coming back. And my celery over here, just a sneak peek, is doing fantabulous. I actually tied it together there. It is growing quite well. I'm going to pull it up as a whole stalk, and I've got radishes coming up. And this is not a garden tour, so let's move right along. Okay guys, so let's talk about the famous grow bags. Everyone loves the grow bags. And I am growing in about 4 of them. But to be honest, they're not my favorite, and I probably will only use them if I absolutely need to grow something and I don't have another pot left because grow bags will have you watering 24/7. It's material. So when you water, your water is soaking up in the material. So therefore, you're going to have to water anything in a grow bag way more than you'll have to water in a plastic container. So they're wonderful. You can move them. They're easy to shift. Personally, guys, I am not a fan of the grow bags. And as you can see, I do have some out here. I am growing a few things in them, but they soak up so fast, I'm constantly watering. Now, these are my absolute favorite, not because they're red. Yes, true that. I love red, but also because they are plastic. They are plastic and the water is not going to go through them at all. They will sustain weather. As you can see, this is one of the first ones I've had, and it's weathered, but it's withstanding it. And the water will not go through it. I literally water them until water comes out the bottom part of the container. And I don't have to water them quite as often as I do my clay pots and my grow bags. So these are my favorite type of containers. These are just regular plastic containers, and they are very, very durable, as you can see. So if you want to choose the best pot, my suggestion would be a plastic pot. Okay, guys, just as a recap, the terracotta clay pot is very porous. So when you water that pot, the water is going to seep into the pot, making your actual soil dry out a little quicker or much quicker. So I'm not a fan of that pot because it keeps me watering a little bit more. The same thing for the ceramic pot, which is nothing but a clay pot that has been glazed typically on the outside and not on the inside. So as you water, it's going to soak into that. I am in zone 7B, and typically my summers, my hot part of my summers are in the 90s. Every now and then we'll reach the low 100s or we'll be in the 80s, but for the most part of the summer, we're in the high 90s. And when I use those grow bags, I'm watering sometimes twice a day, and that can be cumbersome, especially with all that we have to do and other things that we have to do. So you want to try to lessen the amount of time that you water. You're going to have to water more than if you are planting in ground, no matter what. But my plastic pots, I typically can water them once a day. I personally like to water them early afternoon, right before the sun kind of goes down completely. That's my favorite time, but I also water sometimes in the morning. You have to pick the best time according to your schedule and the type of plants that you are growing in your zone. But I can typically get away with watering once a day or every other day. If I am in the 90s, I go out and water once a day, but I only water my plants in the plastic containers that have the cups underneath them until I see the water coming out the bottom. That has enabled me, as my experience, not to overwater and not to underwater. And by the next day, they go through the night, they'll stay nice and moist. By the next day when the sun comes up, like Eric says, sun comes up, dries up all the rain. It dries up all the water, so I go back out and water. I have 14 of those red pots, and I have 3 larger Resine, the big larger brown pots. I have 3 larger pots of those. I've got almost 50 plants out here in that amount of small space, in that amount of small containers. So it typically takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to come out, bring out my hose, water, put the hose up, and then I'm done. And so it doesn't take long. You just have to put yourself on a schedule and try to maintain from there. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for today. Again, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me on my garden. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. And again, if you're new, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It'll help me and the algorithm. I am working on my subscriber count right now, so I would appreciate shares and all the subscribers that I can get. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time. And remember, anywhere you can sit a pot, you can grow a plant. And I'll see you on the trail.
You'll be living your good life. Catch a glimpse from the outside all the time.